All right, well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to class. Sorry. Thank you all for coming today. My name is Jordan. I'll be taking care of you guys today. I know it's your day off, so I appreciate you all showing up and supporting me. I'd like to thank Tammy for showing up from Salon Service Group and joining us today, and also Tobin and Jillian, the owners here, for inviting me into their home and being able to teach you guys. I am going to be talking mostly about 1821 today, but a little bit about myself before we get started, just to give you a little background on me. I am from Appleton, Wisconsin originally. I got my start in the industry in Seattle, Washington. I did do my hair schooling there. I did also go on to attend advanced training for a company out there called Jean Juarez, which at one time was considered one of the best salons in the entire country. From there, I moved to Chicago, Illinois to work for Aveda. I did move on from there to work for a barbershop for about 2 years, which was in Wrigleyville, so mostly focusing on men's haircuts, obviously, which was a bit of a change from what I started at. After that, I did move to Montana, where I actually worked for the Conservation Corps. So I didn't do a lot of hair cutting. Mostly I was doing trail conservation, cutting people's hair on the side. So that's basically digging things, camping, fighting wild animals, that kind of stuff. From there I moved down to Austin, Texas, where I did work at a barbershop again, furthering my men's cutting stuff. And now I'm back in Appleton, Wisconsin. I've been here about 3 years now, which is probably the longest since high school. Now I'm working at a company called Sheer Chaos Salon and Barbering Company, which is a great place. Probably some of the best owners I've worked for and best coworkers I've had the chance to work with. I spend most of my time in the barbershop, so I do mostly do men's hair cutting, a lot of men's styling, and we do also do classic services like straight razor shaves and lineups and head shaves, all that great stuff. And I do sometimes get to cut women's hair, which is awesome. So that's enough about me. For 1821, we're going to cover a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the brand, so how the brand came to be, why they thought about creating a company in the first place, and where the inspiration came from for the brand and all the bottling and everything like that. We're going to talk about the Noble experience. So basically this is just things to add into your service with each one of your guests that just add to your service quality and your guest experience without really any skill, just maybe some practice involved with it, but just kind of enhance your service level and eventually your service dollars too. We are going to go over a fashion haircut. So the techniques I'll show you are kind of go with the Noble experience. They were all brought to light by Ankel, which is kind of our hair guru of one of our owners. So we're going to go over that and talk about the inspiration for that haircut. And last but not least, we're going to cover styling coaching. So this is just going to be essentially, teaching our guests how to do the things that we do to their hair. So from the day they leave your chair until they're in your chair again, they're going to be able to look just as good as you made them look because you educated them as how you style their hair. And that's a huge part of doing a good haircut, is not just styling their hair in the chair and letting them go about their day, because obviously you're a professional, you know how to style hair better than they do. So if they don't like a product that they bought because you didn't teach them, that's your fault. So styling coaching is going to be literally putting product in their hands, putting a blow dryer in their hands, putting combs in their hands, showing them how to do everything, because that person is your advertisement when they're out in the world. So you want them to look as good as you made them look the day that they left your chair. So that's that. So these are our founders. On the right side there, we have Ashton LaFawn. He is a sales consultant for the company. He is not a licensed cosmetologist, but he has been in the industry for a very long time now. He got his start as a distributor. He also kind of got his way into the industry. He invented the disposable color-off wipes. So the literal wipes you take out of the jar and wipe off excess color that you got everywhere. But a bigger company did buy that idea from him, so he doesn't run that anymore, but he is still in charge of distribution. So, and he was very well established in that field prior to 1821, but that's a great advantage that the company has, having him at our disposal. In the middle there we have Angel del Solar. He helps with everything as well, but he is the kind of brains behind the cutting and techniques that we use that I'll be showing you today. He's been in the industry since he was 15 years old. He is from Spain, so he did work under a very talented stylist in Spain, learning all his techniques there, getting a start that way. I didn't ask how old he is, but I'm assuming he's been in the industry for a while now. He also, when he moved to the United States, he started for a company called G. Juarez, which is the same place that I was having my start in the hair industry. He didn't speak much English at all when he came to the country. He didn't know anybody, obviously, because he's from a very different place. But he's very talented at what he does. He's great with people. And some of the techniques that I'll be going over with you today is how he became so successful. I mean, for example, in 1997, he started at G. Juarez, and within 2 years, he became one of the highest paid stylists in that entire salon. And at the time, it was considered the best salon in the entire country. So it's a pretty big deal. To his right there, on the far left for you guys, that is David del Solar, so that is Angel's brother. He is in charge of production and development in the company, so he is mostly the one coming up with the scents, the way the products work, the ingredients in the products. He kind of is the one doing everything from scratch, building everything. He is a licensed cosmetologist. He did apprentice with Angel, so that's how he got that. His start, though, is in his professional career. He is a chef by trade, trained in Spain, and ended up working for one of the best restaurants there, which is a big deal in Spain. Food is a very big deal. Sorry. So he is a chef. He kind of got his specialization as a deconstruction chef, which is basically the art of taking a dish and breaking it down to its most basic components and making a very complex thing a very simple thing, but accentuating all the individual ingredients. So having a very deep understanding of each ingredient to make something perfect without going over the top. So that very much translates into what he does with 1821, making all the formulations for our products. So that's our team, all very cool looking guys as well. And I've gotten the chance to meet Angel and Ashton so far, so hopefully I get to meet David in the future. So basically these guys got together and decided to start this company because they saw that the industry kind of was lacking a specific luxury line for gentlemen. Like, there is a lot of men's lines out there, obviously, but most of them, you know, they work, but you know, they're not really elevating somebody's experience in the salon. They're just there a lot of the time, especially in a regular salon environment. Men's products get kind of pushed off to the side, at the bottom of the shelf, or they don't really stand out among the women's things. So 1821 wanted to change that. They wanted to give men coming into the salon a special experience. So from the time you see 1821 products on the shelf, you know, that's going to get their interest piqued because, you know, somebody not familiar with the product is going to see something like the shampoo and think, why does this salon carry whiskey? So they're going to start wanting to talk to you about it for that reason, just because it looks very cool. With pride of ownership, I mean, men, you know, not all men, but, you know, we place a lot of importance on our shiny things, on our things we like to show off to our friends, on our sweet car we have in the garage that we like to go out and polish every 5 minutes and we cuddle with at night. So 1821, just from the bottling itself, is all very, you know, high quality jars, like full glass jars. They all come in something that you're not necessarily want to just throw away. But despite looking cool and smelling good and working really well, we want to make sure that there's a real value behind our products. So everything does work the way we say it works. We came up with everything from scratch, meaning, you know, a lot of other product lines do simply rebottle another product, add a scent to it. A lot of the time they come from the same factory, but 1821 is all made, developed, and packaged in Fort Worth, Texas, all from scratch. So it's made to be exactly what Angel wanted it to be, and all the rest of the others as well. Here's just some examples of, you know, things that we, you know, men typically place pride in. Maybe not all men, but You know, we got our nice hot rod there, our cool motorcycle that maybe we go for a ride in, that we don't have to go anywhere, but we want people to see it. So in the same vein, 1821 wanted to make something that men have pride of owning. So it is about the consumer, obviously. It's about the consumer. 1821 is not a company, but we also wanted to make sure it's about the individual stylists. We want to make sure we're keeping money in their pockets, and we want to make sure we're keeping you guys happy with what we have. So 1821, you know, with just looking cool and creating something that clients are going to want to talk about, creating an opportunity for maybe an impulse buy. So a client maybe comes into the salon that maybe wasn't intending on buying a product, but you know, now they see something interesting, they're talking about it. If you've already cut their hair and used 1821, they're already interested because you styled their hair with it. They look great, it smells good, and they want to know more. So you've created something for them to look at and potentially pick up that day without intending to. It is a high-performing product, as I just was talking about. Everything is made from scratch. Angel had a huge hand in it with all his experience in the hair industry. He knows what works and what doesn't work. So he had a big hand in, you know, through trial and error, making the perfect products that they wanted to make that work the way they want to, but are still good on your hair. So they're all water soluble, nothing in the line flakes. The 3-in-1 works exactly how it's supposed to, without leaving a film. The clay is a true matte finish clay. Everything is exactly what it says, and everything was made with care. So it does work the way it's supposed to, which is good for us because we want to perform. We want everything to perform the way that we need it to. Another great thing for stylists is that 1821 exclusively sells through salons, through their website, 1821.com, and through Amazon.com. The cool thing about Amazon is that they have an exclusive contract with Amazon that they can only retail their products the same that they are retailed everywhere else. So, meaning it's 24 in our salon, it's 24 on Amazon, it's 24 on 1821. So when we use something on a client here, there's no reason for them to then leave, go do research on at home, and like, oh my gosh, well I can get three of the same thing for a couple dollars more than it cost me to get it there. So 1821, although they could have probably made more money, you know, as a company just selling online for discounted prices, because they could have gone through it like crazy, by keeping it an equal price all across the board. If we use it on a client and they love it, they're going to want to buy it from us because they want to support us, and they'd rather have it in their hands the same day instead of going online and getting it for the same price, maybe plus shipping. So that's really cool that 1821 cares about us and wants to keep money in our pockets and in the salon. So, and last but not least, we always want to keep our salons in mind. They are the ones that we need to take care of the most, because services aren't always the bread and butter for income for salons. Retail is a huge part of the income for any salon. So 1821 wanted to create an opportunity to make new money in your salon. That meaning, in the past, typically men are pretty difficult to get to buy a professional shampoo. Men are pretty difficult to get to buy anything besides a straight up styling product, so now there's a 3-in-1 shampoo, which is a high performing professional shampoo that men can feel like it's an accessible product to them. It's easy to use. So that's one way that, you know, now there's an opportunity for us to add one more thing into their professional product lineup at home. Another great thing is that we have our 1821 hairspray, which in the past, except for, you know, pompadours and rockabilly stuff, there really wasn't much of a market for selling men hairspray. So now 1821 has a men's hairspray that smells good, that works well, that doesn't flake, that you can layer to make a stronger or looser look. But it's just another way to accentuate their style. So now we have 2 more products that men are now accessible to pick up and to have, you know, the opportunity for new money for our salons because of those new things. 1821 is priced as a luxury item. It's not priced so crazy that it's out of the reach of men. It is higher than some options, but it is also a lot lower than a lot of men's options too. So it is priced as a luxury item because there is the care that goes into it. We do place a ton of detail into even just the design work on each of our bottles. And like I said, everything is made from scratch to work exactly the way we want it. There's no sulfates, there's no bad parabens, it's easy on your hair, it's water soluble, it comes out, so it works, but it's also good for your hair. So it is a luxury item, but it is priced competitively, so it's not unreachable. So the namesake of 1821, it's not just a random pairing of numbers. The 1821 does stand for the 18th and the 21st Amendment to the United States Constitution. These amendments are the amendments that first started the Prohibition and ended Prohibition. And Prohibition was basically the outlawing of any alcoholic beverages, and it started in the early 1900s. Quick recap on Prohibition. Basically, it came about because a few groups and a few religious groups saw that alcohol was causing a lot of broken homes, was causing a lot of domestic abuse. Like things like cider were kind of a constant, thing that you would consume day in and day out. And there was a lot of bad things that went along with it, there still are, but these groups thought by banning it would be a good thing for the United States. But basically, banning something like that, or banning anything, as we've seen throughout history, just causes a lot of uproar. So really, Prohibition ended up causing a lot more issues than it sought out to fix. Like the mafia, for example, was pretty much a direct result of something like Prohibition. So small-time criminals were able to make a fortune and kind of capture this whole new market. And crime increased, murders increased. The Great Depression occurred during Prohibition, which could be a direct result of the loss in tax revenue. Prohibition also brought about income tax, which we still deal with today. The government did this in order to, they needed something to make up the tax that they would lose from the liquor industry, so they came up with or income tax, which everybody was excited when the 21st Amendment came about because they thought we'd get our income back, which obviously we'll still deal with income tax. So that is kind of what the company, that era of kind of rebellion, that era of speakeasies, of these kind of, secret bars, men kind of taking care of themselves and dressing up and enjoying good liquor and just being rebellious in general is kind of the feeling that 1821 wanted to capture. So our sense of all our products are the sweet tobacco and honey. We wanted to kind of, make it feel like you're in a speakeasy, enjoying, some old jazz and dressing up and having a kind of a highbrow party sort of thing. So, 1821 man-made goods. We exclusively support the Society of Men with meticulously crafted premium grooming provisions that gentlemen take pride in owning. So that leads us into the noble experience. So that's going to be the things, like I was talking about, that we're going to add into our services, that we're going to add into the way we talk to our gentlemen, that increase their experience in the salon, and also potentially increase the amount of money that we are able to ask for our services. Like I said, these are all things that don't necessarily require extra skill. They do maybe require some practice, but they are just small things to add to make your service a lot more special, to make men feel a lot more special in your chair. Our greeting is going to be probably the most important step to our services. That's going to be their, the way they are introduced to you and introduced to our salon. So when you greet somebody, whether they're a new guest or whether they're an old guest that you've seen forever, make sure you treat them with some confidence and give them the time of day. So don't just signal them over. When they come into the salon, walk up to them, keeping eye contact, grab their hand and shake, give them a nice firm handshake, keeping eye contact, introduce yourself, and then lead them over to your chair. Don't run away and direct them over, walk them to your chair, have them sit, and then turn them towards the chair, and then we'll do a little draping, which I can demonstrate quick. If I can do it on Marcus. Hi, Marcus.
Hello.
Name's Jordan. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Grab a seat. Don't fall. All right, so when we're draping, we're actually going to use a PST towel, that's what we call them. So these are going to be a little more useful than using a simple Sanex strip. They're going to provide a little more protection for not getting hair under the cape. It's also going to be nice, especially when we have clients that are, maybe on their lunch break from, a job where they wear a nice collared shirt. With this, we don't have to fold in their collar, so we're not worried about getting all folds in their collar and going back to work on the show. So with our PST towel, we're going to unfold it, keep the big crease on the bottom pointed out towards you, and then with the top of it, we're going to set it about in the middle on their neck, and about half of it we're going to tuck into their shirt. So all the way around here.
So you can do this on a guy in a shirt and tie?
Yep. You might have to unbutton one of his buttons, but he won't have to fold it in, and he won't have to take his tie off.
Oh yeah, it'll save a lot of time for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then with our cape, a lot of barbers typically come behind and swing it over, and you're kind of risking sometimes, if you're a shorter person with a taller person in your chair, you could risk maybe elbowing in the back of the head, so that's going to definitely take away from their experience. So what we're going to do, instead of doing that, is come in front of them, holding the cape with both hands, and kind of coming across them and draping the cape across. That way, there's not this big show where we're whipping hair everywhere and we're not risking hitting them. And then with our PST towel, we're going to take the two front ends, fold, crisscross them in front. Bring our cape over and snap our cape shut, obviously. And then with this PST towel that's sticking out, we're going to take that, fold it all down. So that's going to help protect a lot better. PST towels are also nice because they can actually get wet. Where a Sanex strip, for example, if you got a Sanex strip wet, it's basically going to start dissolving immediately and be useless, and you're probably going to have to redo it. So this is going to help keep it out, all the hair out. And then when we're done, when we go do our neck trim, we're going to unbutton our cape, button it on the last button, and the part that's not tucked into the shirt, we're going to pull that out and drape that down, and then we have a towel to wipe off our razor when we're cleaning up their neckline. So we do their neck trim, and then at the end, we're going to kind of grab around the towel like we're going to choke them, but don't actually choke them. And then we're going to slowly work this up and kind of be crumbling it while we're doing that to hold all the hair that might be trapped in the towel. And then in most states, we're not allowed to use the neck dusters, so our towel also acts as our way we're going to wipe off all the excess little chunks of hair everywhere. So that's going to protect the neck a lot better. It gives you more usage than just using a Sanex strip, and cuts down using towels on them as well. So, and that's it. Thank you, Marcus. All right. So, before we move into the consultation, so before I get into the consultation, 1821 is all about living by design. So that just meaning do everything on purpose. In the salon, in your personal day-to-day life, make a plan for your day with clients. When you come in, don't just see your books and just go about doing your day, with your head down and go home, rinse and repeat. Try to get add-ons, get things that are going to improve their service level and going to improve their overall look. So, but each day just make a plan to actually live by design, live with purpose, instead of just letting life pass you by. So, with our consultation, this is our most important part of our service. This is where we're going to get all the information that we possibly need for the haircut and for rebooking, referrals, all that kind of good stuff. So, some questions to ask. First good question, is this your first time? I mean, you should probably already know that before they sit down, but you can always ask. Another great question is, how did you hear about us? Because that's going to kind of give us an idea of referrals, and if they did hear about us from another client, one, that's a great confidence boost for us that we have a client just out there that somebody thought looked nice and asked about us. But also that's going to let us know, like, okay, so this is this guy's first time, and he got referred by my client Joe. So this guy, since he's came in on a recommendation, he's going to get 25% off his first service. And as a thank you to Joe for sending this guy in, we're also going to give Joe 25% off for sending somebody in, for carrying around our business cards, and for being our own advertisement. So that's why we need to ask those questions. For pre-booking, we should figure this out during the consultation. So a great question to ask is, how often do you usually get your haircut? They're going to say something like 4 or 5 weeks. And now we automatically know that when we take them up to the computer, we know exactly where we're going to be looking. So instead of going to the computer and asking, do you want to set your next one up? We go to the computer, we bring up the day that is 5 weeks out, and we say, okay, great, so you said you typically like to get your haircut every 5 weeks. So in 5 weeks, that brings us to Tuesday the 7th. I got a 10:30 open. Does that work for you? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, obviously work with them. I mean, everybody's schedule is different, but pre-booking should always be done, no matter what. We're busy. We need to make sure that they can get in at the time they need to, because we want to keep them looking good, and we want to make sure that they know that they need to get in, so they need to look good. So pre-booking is huge. Should be getting everybody to do that. We're going to go over technical stuff with them. So some questions would be, what are you looking for stylistically? What problems do you have with your hair? What do you typically like about your hair? What don't you like about your hair? Getting ideas, asking them what they usually do for styling at home. What kind of shampoo are you using? How are you styling? Are you using comb? Are you using blow dryer? Because we want to know kind of where we can go with this. Like, we don't want to give some guy this crazy haircut that only looks good if it's styled up with all these different products and all these different tools. And, the only day that they're going to look good is the very day that they leave the salon. So we want to make sure we have something within reason for these people. So we want to talk about all the technical stuff with them. We're also going to talk about retail, so that kind of ties into the technical stuff too. We want to figure out what they're using currently, so we know what they're going to be willing to use in their hair. But maybe they're also using something that's wrong for their hair, and we want to get retail in their mind right now, because the style that we're going to do on them, retail is always going to be necessary to keep that look going. So we're going to plant the seed early on, and with that too, with all those questions, once we kind of get our vision going here, we're going to kind of involve the guest in the service. So we want to make sure they have kind of a snapshot of where we're going to be going. So we want to start with the end in mind, so we can talk to them about how we're going to get there. Maybe even talk about some of the techniques. Maybe he has thin hair, so maybe we're going to go ahead and do a lot of razoring. So go ahead and tell him that we're going to use a razor on most of your haircut. So that's going to create a little more volume for you, help you get a little more, seemingly thickness out of your hair. And if he is thinning too, maybe we're going to tell him even what we're going to style with. So since your hair is a little bit finer, we're going to go ahead and use the 1821 clay on you, because that actually goes into your cuticle and fluffs up the cuticle, so it makes it look and feel like you have thicker, more full hair. So we're going to use that on you, and I'll show you how to use that today as well. And we'll get you all styled and ready to go. So our inspiration for our haircut is John Wick 2. So this is we call it the long shag. So basically it's just going to be a shag haircut with layers, and we'll pick different spots for everything. But that's our inspiration. So first, come out here a little bit. So we're going to start with sort of a horseshoe part. And we're going to do a little bit of a side part here, so off to the left side on him. And we basically just want to get the entire perimeter separated. So we want to start with our outline, and then we'll get into layering after that. So we take about 2 fingers in the front hairline, and we're going to separate that part out, and then from there, kind of take a spot about 2 inches above the ear, and drop that really low down, so right below the occipital. So we want to make sure, you know, with any haircut, we're accounting for any cowlicks and all that stuff, so we want to leave a lot of weight over the occipital, just so there's no chance of, you know, getting too short up here and cowlick poking up. And this goes the same for pretty much every type of haircut that we can do. That's separated. Any questions so far from anybody? So, and it doesn't have to be completely perfect. This is just our basic shapes that we want to stick with. We'll get that nice and pinned out of the way there. So then we have all of our perimeters nice and separated from the top of the hair. That's where we're going to start our cutting. So today I'm going to pick a spot. I think we'll just do like right at the base of the neck, about where we do that. So, and then we're going to start in the back with our cutting. And I'm actually just going to use a razor without having it in the holder. One, this is going to look cool, so it's going to look, you know, interesting to our guests, and they're going to want to know what we're doing, which is always cool, and then we can tell them. And it's never a bad thing to say, I just learned this technique, because to them that just translates to you care about your field and you're taking the time to learn brand new things, and you're bringing them here to me to show them. So we're going to pick that spot in the back. Use comb. We're going to basically do 3 sections in the back for our outline. We're going to want to control the hair, so make sure we get a lot of tension. So comb it out. Use your fingers to create a lot of tension. Find where you want your spot. And then with a little bit of a lunge, we're going to kind of do a scooping method with our razor.
That's the whole section that's left over, right? I mean, as far as from base of the neck up to the occipital, to the whole thing at once instead of taking out layers, right?
What do you mean?
You're not doing
Oh, yeah,
small
you got
subsections,
all
you're
of
doing the
that.
whole occipital at one time.
Yeah. So
It's gonna start later.
the thing about this is like we want to be able to control a lot of hair. And we don't need the baseline to necessarily be perfect. You know, doing a razor, you know, I don't think doing shears is sometimes perfect for this, but we don't always want to just have like a super blunt line. We want a lot more texture. Sometimes that is exactly what we're looking for, is a blunt line, but with this, we're keeping it nice, more of with the shag, which, you know, typically has a lot more texture than. So, yeah, and we'll do layering after this. This is just going to be our outline, but yeah, it will create a little bit of graduation. When you are cutting, you don't want to pull it too far away, unless you want a lot of that graduation on the bottom. You want to kind of pull it straight down, but don't push it up against the neck, because then there's going to be a slight, almost like an undercut. Yep. That's not what we're looking for either. Yeah, exactly. So then we're going to extend a little bit. Pull that guy to the front, take a little bit from, you know, just over the ear, so we can bring that forward. There probably won't be much on my mannequin because they always have kind of a thin spot on that part, but obviously a little bit. So find that. And just bring that forward.
So you carry that all the way around to the fringe and everything?
Yeah. And then we'll get this set up, and then we'll move on to the connecting the bang section to the back. So then with our front, when we do pick our spot for our bangs, or front section, I'm going to do just below the lip. And sometimes people pull from each side and cut it right there, but then when you bring it back over, it's going to be a straight line, and then you're going to have to fix that into the angle. So basically a lot of this cutting is going to be cutting where it lies, because we want it to rest the way that we intended it to rest. So don't do too much tension, but we're going to pick our spot on our lip, and then we're going to find our guide in the back, and we're just going to follow that angle and connect the front to the back. And with this too, especially on the side where there's more hair, you want to kind of bring it over to where you're going to be styling it to. And when it does go forward, it'll be a little uneven on the sides, but when it's styled the way it's supposed to, it'll be even, it'll look even. So, and then with the razor again, kind of a little bit of an angle, and kind of following that guide. My guy's got a big beard, so it's hard to tell what's beard and what's hair. But just follow that guide all the way into the back to connect A to B. Do the same on the other side. So start at the lip and just kind of move back. Like that. All right, and then we have our perimeter set. So we can take down the top of the hair. And I'll come back. A little bit. And then we're going to go into our layering. So this is a cool little trick to do that's going to add to your service. It's going to look cool, and it's going to make your haircut a lot more efficient. So with the technique that we use, we cut the layers where they're going to be. We don't ever pull hair up to cut layers, because then it's going to be difficult to figure out exactly where they're going to lie when you bring them up. Because when you cut something up here and then bring it back down, it's got to go over a curve of the head, so it's not going to be exactly what you intended it to be ever. Ever. So cutting it where it lies is going to give us exactly what we're looking for. So basically we're going to use 2 combs. This is going to help us control the hair. We're holding them. We're going to keep, however you hold your shears, but keep your shears folded. Use 2 combs, and we're going to do 3 sections in the back. But with this method, we're going to be able to control a lot more hair. So you want to control that entire section right down to the perimeter. So kind of comb it a few times so everything's coming straight out of the head where you want it to be. And go ahead and lock our shears. And come over to the side. Find where we want our layers to start. And then flip out to where our bottom guide is. So we want our layers to start up there, pull out, and then cut. We'll go for our combs, and then cut down to our
Straight line cut.
there, and then you see you have all the action there already, right where you want the layers to be. Then we come over to our left side here, same thing. You can take a bit of the last section if you want, pull down, find that guide, flip out, and cut right down. All these nice layers, exactly where you want them to be. So do that. back. Any questions about any of this?
Tend to go, do you ever chip into the section, or is it traditionally straight down the cone?
You could.
Or would that be too difficult with the two
You can do it like that. I mean, you can do it with a razor too. It's just, this way is easier, and then at the end, if you need to do more texturizing, I'd probably wait until you have dried their hair, because obviously, you know, hair is always different when it's wet, so you can't really see how the end result will be. So maybe do it this way, and then once you dry, go back in, and then do your more of your chipping. Yeah. But you can do it that way right away if you want. Just cater it to whatever you think is best. But just the two comb thing is just something you need to practice, because it's a little awkward at first. But then, you know, whatever you want to add into it is totally cool, as long as it's, you know, working, basically. Then with the front, you kind of still keep that front section separated, and we don't get into the perimeter, but you kind of want to start with combing at the top of the head, because we want to be, the hair, we want it to all be coming out straight. Get that hair controlled. Side. Find that layer, find where your perimeter is. Do the front there too. Same on this side. Take that little layer here. Same thing. Find where that layer starts. Just make sure we don't cut it too deep. Whatever. All set. And that's really it.
Okay.
So that's just demonstrating more on the side there. But that's really the haircut. When you go ahead and style with this haircut, I would probably go with paste. Blow dry it in, and add a little more to kind of piece it out a little bit more if you need to at the end as well. But basically doing the haircut like this with the two combs just gets us from point A to point B a lot faster, because we want to make sure we have a lot of time for our style coaching. So the haircut should be, especially with this kind of one, you know, like around 15 minutes, and the rest of our service time is going to be the washing, styling, and teaching them how to do it. So why retail? Marcus, why do we use retail?
Why do we sell retail? Why do we carry retail?
Yeah.
We want our clientele to have the products that we use on them available to them at home, and we want them to be able to use professional grade stuff and not go to drugstores to get their hair stuff.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to work with the products that we think would be best for them, and cover our pockets a little bit.
Exactly. So, want our guests to look good when they're not just leaving the salon, because every single person that leaves your chair is your personal free billboard walking around, going to the D&B, going to the bars, to the mall. People are seeing them, so we sell retail because we want them to recreate exactly what we do. They need what we use in order to do so. And that's just if we are selling them things that we use on them, and we're teaching them how to properly use things, they are going to trust us. So that's going to build a rapport with that client. So they're going to be more apt to keep coming back to us because they trust us. We did something great for them. We gave them a great product. We just gave them an overall great service. So we're going to keep those clients. Retail also, like I was saying, goes into referrals. So the better our people are looking on a day-to-day basis, the more people are seeing them, and the more chance that we have, especially if we're giving our cards out to everybody, that guest is going to get a compliment at some point, and somebody's going to ask where they go, and your happy guest is going to have your business card at hand, and he's going to send that guy in, which is always awesome. I mean, it feels good to get recognition like that just from some stranger asked one of your clients on the street, hey, where do you go? Because I want to look as good as you do. So that's why retail. I got a video here for style coaching coming up. This is something Anknell put together with his brother Debbie. So this will kind of go more into detail of what style coaching is. Okay. So any questions about style coaching?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great way to add on to your service. And like he was talking about at the end too, like, you know, don't forget to present the products to them. So don't just bring it up to the register and, you know, ask if they want to pick that stuff up. Actually, physically grab what you used, show it to them, let them hold it, let them open it, smell it, all that good stuff. Because even if they didn't want to buy products, sometimes maybe they forget, or if, you know, once they get it in their hands, they're much more apt to actually pick it up. And if that's what they used and they're happy with the way you styled their hair and show them how to style their hair, they're going to want to do the same thing. Same goes for the blow drying. A lot of guys don't use one currently, but I think it's pretty easy to get a guy interested in using one. I mean, if you make his hair better than he's ever made it look, and you know, use a blow dryer and tell him he has to use a blow dryer to get this like this, and he tries to do it without, he'll quickly find out that, man, I want to get my hair to look like that again. So he'll go to wherever, buy a blow dryer because he wants to look as good as you make it look.
Which comes back to like how you started off in the consultation, like talking to them about like what the work that they're willing to put into it, and you know that like, you know, you're not showing somebody all this for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but even some guys, if they're not doing that already, like, they might change their tune.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, it's great to always talk about it, keep it in their head. I mean, if they're happy with how they look and they, you know, they want to sing your praises, I mean, they're going to be pretty apt to go spend a couple dollars on a blow dryer quick to, you know, make themselves look as good as you made them. So, so always teaching everybody, even if maybe you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to go through with this, still teach them, because I've been surprised many times by guests that I think, you know, aren't going to do anything or never would buy product, and it always ends up being those guests that are like, yeah, I want everything they use on me, I'm going to go buy a blow dryer right now. So always give them the time of day and make sure to treat them all like they're going to do as much work as you do. So go over our products quick. We have our Man-Made Wash. The Man-Made Wash is the #1 selling product on Amazon.com. In its category, it is the #1 selling 3-in-1 fortifying shampoo on all of Amazon. So it is the 3-in-1, so it is a fortifying shampoo. I believe it's quinoa protein that it has in there, so it does also help strengthen your hair at the same time as it's washing. It does condition your hair without leaving a filmy, greasy layer, and it is also good on your body, so you can use it head to toe. It leaves you with nice moisture without feeling weight or feeling heavy or greasy. So good head to toe, and you smell good as well. Like I said, strengthens hair and skin. Right now we have it 18 and 64 ounces. I believe 32 ouncer is ready to go. It really looks like a whiskey bottle too, which is really cool. So we'll be getting that soon. That is sulfate free, paraben free as well. There's Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
We like to use Brad Pitt for all of our examples because he is, we like to call him like the hair chameleon, because pretty much since he's been a star, he's had every single kind of haircut, color, and style that a human being can possibly go through. So we like to use him a lot to talk about examples and all that. So we have our clay next. This comes in a 2-ounce bottle right now. Retails for $24. This is going to be our medium to strong hold, natural finish, no shine. So it's a mixture of clay, wax, and elastic fibers. As I was talking about earlier, the product itself does go into the cuticle. It soaks up the oil in the hair, so it fluffs up the cuticle. Good. Okay. Yeah. Fluffs up the cuticle, so making like thinner hair possibly look a lot more thick and full. This is going to be great for unstructured style. It's going to be a touchable hold. You definitely feel it in the hair, but it's not ever going to be too stiff or punchy. It comes out of the jar nice and easy. It's formulated to start off very soft, and then it kind of sets up in the hair as it dries, it cools off. But yeah, then the consistency does end up being like natural clay, so you shape the hair like you would a clay. It's water soluble, does rinse out easy, and is also not greasy, not flake, and it can be layered to make it stronger. here are some Brad examples of some hairstyles you can do with clay. So nice either tousled looks or some maybe smoother looks, but still don't look like there's anything in there, but obviously you'd have to use something. So the clay would be great for any of these styles. Next we have our paste. So that's going to be our medium mold product. It's a natural finish and medium shine. So it's going to be somewhere in between a pomade and our clay. It's not too shiny, not too matte. I like this on curly hair a lot. I'll sometimes, when I leave my hair curly, for example, I'll put it in towel dry and let it dry, and it just makes a nice defined curl with a nice touchable hold. But yeah, it's more of a cream-like mixture of wax and grooming cream. So it does add shape, does help hold it, does manage it. You can add more when it's dry as well to kind of piece out hair. Good for controlling frizz. It's also easy to use, starts off very soft. Also water soluble, also rinses out easy then and does not flake, so you can layer it. Here's some styles you would use a clay paste with rather, so kind of are similar to the haircut we did on the bottom there. The more, sort of textured, loose, maybe slick back looks, just enough to keep things in shape, and something with a lot of texture too. Last but not least, we have our pomade. That's going to be our medium hold as well. It's a little different than traditional pomades. I'm sure you found out if you used it, but it is going to be shiny finish. It's a non-greasy finish. It's going to give shape. It's going to help you separate the hair, but it's going to give you more of a smooth and flexible control with the hair. So a little more of the classic haircuts would be done with this, more of our pompadours and slick back looks, all that stuff's going to be great. Good and curly hair too, and also is going to be water soluble. It doesn't flake, so you can layer it. So if you want a really heavy hold, you can sometimes blow dry with it and add more at the end. I like to mix it with clay, so sometimes I'll blow dry with clay in the hair to give a nice base, and then I'll finish it with the pomade for a lot of hold, but that still shine with a little, maybe more voluminous hold than just the pomade would be able to get you. Here's some of those styles we want to do with the pomades, or more classic slick back rather than sort of fury and a very intense haircut. Our premium hairspray. So it's going to come in 10 ounces. Retails as 24. It's a very strong hairspray that can get stronger as you layer it. It doesn't flake either. The look of the bottle itself, kind of going back to our Prohibition talk, styled after a beer can from the 1900s. So it looks very cool. It smells very good. It has the same scent as everything else in the line. But like I said, it's a nice way to add a new product into a men's arsenal. And it's going to help control a style all day for them too, a little better than just using a puck or something. It's water soluble, so it does come out easy. It's brushable, like I said, it doesn't flake, so you can continue to layer it, and it's not going to get flakes on your shirt. So,
Johnny Suede.
yeah. So something that we'd use hairspray with. It's probably got a mixture of things in there, but then you want to finish off with a hairspray to really keep it where you want it. There's another Brad reference there.
That's a weird movie.
Or something. We also have our perfume, the 1821 Sweet Tobacco Spirits. So this is perfume grade, meaning it's perfumes and cologne differ not because one's for men, one's for women. Perfume just means that it's a higher quality, so it has to have at least 20% oil blend, and then the rest is natural alcohol. It has no water, so it means no fillers. So being a higher quality, having more oil than a cologne instead of more alcohol like a cologne would, meaning a little is going to go a lot further. So I mean, the size bottle we have is going to last for a very long time. The average time that it stays on, our projection is going to be about 10 to 12 hours for one application. So it does last. It's not overpowering, but it does smell amazing when you get close enough to smell it. So it's going to start off with notes of citrus, spicy saffron, and dried fruit. It kind of cools down, or heats up, I suppose, to kind of reveal more of the honey, the vanilla, the tonka bean. And then at the end, it kind of finishes off with tobacco, exotic woods, powdery musk to round it all out. I got a little Brad there. What would Brad do?
I love
We also do have more videos on our YouTube channel, so at 1821 Man-Made on YouTube. There's a lot of great videos from a few of the different ambassadors for 1821, like Ricky Hicks, Daniel Alfonso has some really cool videos on there, working with the guys from Jackass, which is really fun to watch. There's some more education videos too. More to come as well. Ankel's always working on making more videos for us as tools to use in the salon, so that's a great tool to use. So make sure, again, to recap, just make sure you always greet every guest the same way. Never give somebody a floppy handshake, because that's really gross. And you should be ashamed of yourself if you do that. And it also, like I said, it does display confidence to them. You know, especially a new guest, they come into a new salon, they don't know who you are. Even if you guys have a good reputation, they're going to be a little bit nervous. So displaying that initial confidence is going to be huge in their confidence in you, and you're going to be able to probably do a lot more with that client than you otherwise would. Practice the draping. Like I said, the PST towel is going to be a little more effective than just using the Sanex strip. It's also going to be, it's going to look a little nicer. Like I said, you're not going to have full collars, so you're not going to ruin anybody's shirt when they go back to work. And it just, you know, adds a little touch to the service that's just going to make it a little more special to them. Here's some inspiration for some of our other haircuts that we do offer in our other classes. So we do have other demo classes where I demonstrate a haircut. So this one in particular is kind of where the fashion industry is sort of going. You see this a lot down the runway in like Vogue. But we're kind of getting back to growing out the sides a little longer, kind of taking those pompadours and bringing them forward, just, you know, kind of changing them. And that's the cool thing about this industry, it always changes, the trends always change, so I want to make sure we keep up with those. Another one is the classic fade pompadour, so something that is very popular right now, which will never go away. It's a great looking haircut, it looks clean, it'll never die, it's a classic style. So it's always good to keep that in your arsenal. And then the straight razor, well, the bald fade then as well, another one that is popular these days. Will never truly go away, but it's always good to keep guys, you know, present. So I mean, it's always good to at least talk about the things that are new, even if we want to keep it classic. So, does anybody have any questions? Could you use English?
Do 1821 plan on ever coming out with a larger container for barbers and stylists to use at our station, so we're not creating so much waste with our...
Sure, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that right now. I can definitely get in contact with
There's only some way that we can purchase to representatives.
Yeah. Not that I know of right now. That'd be a good thing to talk about, but we can talk to them about that in the future going ahead.
I think that's one thing that I appreciate about a lot of the other companies out there is,
Maybe a big back bar one.
yep.
Yeah. I'd have to get back to you on that, but I can definitely look into it for you. Cool. The only other thing with products, they are coming out with some new ones this year. I'm not sure when the exact release dates are, so we should be getting the 32 ounce 3-in-1. Okay, we should be getting that here pretty soon then, I would imagine. We also have a fiber coming out. I know they had to go back to the drawing board with that one, because it just wasn't exactly what they wanted. I'm not sure if you know anymore.
The shave oil will be the next.
Shave oil, okay. So is it a Glide or an oil?
I think it's the Glide.
Okay, so
And
there's
I think
a,
that's coming out in March.
okay, so then we have a Shave Glide coming out. I believe it'll have the same scent as everything else, or maybe slightly different.
That's the one that has the new spicy.
Oh, the spicy tobacco, okay. So I have some new scents. We also, I don't know if it's for sure, but they had talked about coming out with new perfumes, and different scents, because the perfume wasn't even something they initially intended on making, but it ended up being one of their top selling things, and it's going like wildfire, and the reviews are crazy, so they're coming out with, I believe, 2 or 3 more scents. I'm not sure when exactly those will come out, but those will be out. Like I said, they're talking about a fiber. They want to make sure it's perfect, and right now it just wasn't up to their standards, so that's going to be a little bit higher hold even than the clay, I believe. It will be slightly oil-based just to get the hold that they wanted out of it, because they couldn't do it without having a little bit of oil in there.
So it'll be a little bit tougher to get out with just water.
A little bit tougher, but still easier than a lot of other
It ain't no
grease-based.
burns.
Yeah, exactly. So still be easy on your hair, but give a little bit more hold to those gentlemen that just need that extra oomph. Cool. So these are our kind of social media pages. Feel free to follow us. We'll try to follow you back. Share photos to us. You know, if we see stuff that we like from your page, I think they used one of Tobin's photos in a magazine advertisement. So doesn't ever hurt, and it's a good way to potentially get your name further out there. So visit our website. There's great descriptions of how to use every product. Very in detail. It's pretty cool. Each product has like 3 or 4 different ways to use it to create different holds and looks and everything. So that's a great way. When you are doing social media, always tag us, like I said. Yeah, that's that. Thank you all for coming.
Good job, Ginger Pie. Good job, Butter.